Alicia Keys was born in Manhattan of an interracial marriage in a small Catholic hospital in 1982. Her father, a Puerto Rican and black laborer, and her mother, a teacher, separated and divorced soon after Alicia was born. Mother Keys was a strict disciplinarian who was brought up in the Catholic Church.
This is Mom right here. So we had a wonderful night tonight. Now we will go celebrate. Yes.
Alicia was tapped for a career in music from a very early age. Alicia Keys would learn to sing and play the piano by the age of 7. By the age of 9, she had formed her first band. By the time she turned 14, this musical prodigy had created a bidding war among major record labels for her talents as a singer-songwriter. It was as a student majoring in choir at Manhattan's famous Professional Performance Art School that a young Alicia Keys honed her vocal skills. An accomplished pianist and organist by this time, Alicia discovered that her vocal range put her in a class that few of her age could match. Her talents were natural, she was self-motivated, and all that was needed was some subtle and technical guidance to bring to fruition her melodic mouthpiece. In addition to the usual affiliations and clubs that any young attractive diva in training would belong to in high school, Alicia Keys excelled both in her artistic classes as well as her academic ones, so much so that by the age of 16, Alicia had accumulated enough credits to graduate from New York's Performing School of the Arts. 2 years younger than the normal college freshman, Alicia Keys was offered and accepted admittance into New York's Columbia University. Though academia was important to Alicia, she knew that she was being called to express her talents in other ways. Alicia had her sights set firmly on a career in music, and this was not a career choice that easily lent itself to the rigors and time commitment necessary to compete at an Ivy League school. So with the full support of her family, Alicia left Columbia before completion of her freshman year. It's the summer of 1995. Unbeknownst to the world, Alicia Keys has already begun work on what will become one of the most phenomenal debut releases ever seen. She's already been approached to write songs for legends such as Whitney Houston and Toni Braxton. Yet she's determined to make her own mark on the music world. Working with tracks and lyrics that she's produced, she begins to make the rounds in search of a musical home. Alicia Keys doesn't come from an accomplished family of musicians. She's not the daughter of a celebrity, and growing up as the daughter of a single mother means money is tight. Still in her teens, Alicia Keys is confident that she has what it takes to launch a successful music career. Undaunted by the lack of financial and social resources, not to mention the stiff competition from thousands of other aspiring musicians, Alicia pounds the pavement, armed with only a demo tape and loads of ability, in search of her very first recording contract. Major labels were immediately impressed. A bidding war for her services began as a songwriter. Super producer, CEO, and founder of So Def Records, Jermaine Dupri, was the first to offer a deal. So Def recordings are distributed by Columbia Records. It was Columbia that was handling the manufacturing and distribution for the So Def Christmas album. It was the first time that Alicia Keys was to be recorded professionally. Keys followed work on the So Def Christmas album by working on the Men in Black soundtrack. Keys' contribution, an original song entitled Da Dee Da. The song was overshadowed by tracks featuring Dupri, Snoop Dogg, and of course the title track by the film star Will Smith. It was an auspicious start for Alicia Keys in her first foray into the music business. She had appeared on 2 albums with high-profile producers and major distribution behind them, yet she found her career on the slow track. That was about to change. One of the first labels to show interest in Keys when she began her search for a music label home was Arista Records. Arista founder and CEO Clive Davis has been a driving force in the music business for over 30 years. Davis is credited for spearheading the careers of Whitney Houston, Janis Joplin, Bruce Springsteen, Santana, and many others. It was Davis who tapped Keys as his next big thing and immediately put her vocal and songwriting talents to work on the John Singleton-directed Shaft soundtrack. Keys' contribution, a remake of the Michael Jackson hit Rock With You. It was never released as a single. Keys had her record deal, but it would be a full 4 years before the world would be introduced to one of the freshest new voices in popular music. It was 1998, and Alicia Keys, with no solo album in sight, continued writing and producing the album she had begun as a starry-eyed teenager at the Manhattan School of the Arts. Meanwhile, the man that had become her mentor and chief support system, Clive Davis, was being pushed out as CEO of the company that he had founded nearly 25 years earlier. In 1999, Keys followed Clive Davis to his new J Records, where she continued to chart her arrival to the music world. Keys is by no means at the top of the roster of the J Records family. In fact, at the time, most feel that J Records would consist of only one artist, the flamboyant and outlandish Brooklyn-born Rasta-influenced rapper known as Busta Rhymes. Most believe that it's Busta Rhymes who will be the marquee act and the frontrunner that will lead the charge at Davis's new imprint. Keys was far in the background and was considered by Davis as one of the baby or developing acts that he inherited for J Records. It would be a full 2 years before anyone would hear from Alicia Keys. It was February of 2000. Every year, Clive Davis throws a pre-Grammy bash. It's part party and part showcase for Davis's artists and for those on the A-list of the music industry. Veteran performer and longtime friend and discovery of Davis, Gladys Knight, was putting the finishing touches on Midnight Train when a young Alicia Keys was introduced. Industry insiders tell Mediacom that jaws dropped. The world seemed to stand still as the crowd was blown away by the beauty, talent, and charisma of Davis's newest discovery. There was one question on the lips of the throng that day. Everyone wanted to know, who is this girl? What makes Keys such an impressive artist is her keyboard work. It's rare to see a female artist, male for that matter, at a keyboard these days, particularly when that individual is able to command it as Keys does. It's another link to what used to be standard in the days when Aretha Franklin and Roberta Flack were doing it. Keys' strength may be in her musicianship even more than her vocal prowess, though she's certainly talented there as well. She's also such a gifted songwriter, as she shows on the cut A Woman's Worth, as well as a producer. Keys hadn't had a single hit yet. She was a virtual unknown, and other than a very successful showcase at Clive Davis's pre-Grammy party, critics wondered whether Keys was the second coming of Janis Joplin, or if she was simply another media creation, or worse, a paper tiger, created to launch and promote Davis's J Records. Davis is a very powerful man. He isn't afraid to use his considerable power and influence to garner publicity for his acts. Davis used this power when he forwarded a video to his good friend, talk show host Oprah Winfrey. Davis was suggesting Winfrey do a show on New Artist, featuring his new artist, of course. It was Keys' performance at the showcase that was what eventually impressed Winfrey's producers to feature Alicia Keys. Wherever she's performed, audiences, showcases, private concerts, even the most jaded industry types have been duly impressed.
I first saw Alicia Keys on BET. And when I saw her, I said, oh, okay, Sheila E. got another album out. You know, why are they promoting her? And then I looked closer, and it wasn't Sheila E., it was Alicia Keys.
I'm not sure if I'm remembering this correctly, but I think it was Elton John who first found her and then sent her out kind of on her first gig. And then I remember her maybe being at the Grammys last year.
I heard about Alicia Keys before she came out because of the Clive Davis connection. And knew people who were working with Clive at the time. I knew she was coming around, and they brought her, taken her to several parties.
I first heard about her from some friends of my agent talking about they was producing a woman, and when I heard about her, and when I first heard her, I thought she was very wonderful. She lived up to their expectations, what they was expecting, and what I was expecting.
Okay, well, who is this, you know? Then she sung her song, she performed, and I thought, okay, it's alright, but it's no big deal.
I knew that Clive Davis had someone big he was holding, and he was taking him where he was getting around, and he was out. I think that's part of the thing that made her big was that groundswell, that buzz that started, that he had. I knew who she was, and before I saw her, I knew she was going to be out there. And they had all signs looked to a big success.